Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen gobble of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now for tonight's sponsor. Hiya there, bud. I'm Jerry Lundgaard, Executive Sales Manager of Gustafson Motors. If you're in the market for the best deal out there, I'm not debating you on it. Come and see me for an Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra. It's a classic that you'll tell your friends how ace it is. And if you don't like it, well, if you don't like it, then that's all I have to say is heck. That's just, I can't even say that. I wrote it wrong. Damn it.
I think keep this in. This is great. Because it captures Lundegaard perfectly. So you can't do anything right.
That's about the right. Okay, here we go. If you don't like it, heck, just heck is all I have to say. Gustafson Motors. Come down and see us because, oh geez, it's the best in town. Not a sponsor.
Well, if you're going to use the UP accent, you've got to really commit to it, eh?
Well,
You got to have a little Canadian mix there with some Minnesota.
How about this? Oh, hiya, bud. I'm Jerry Lundgaard. See,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Oh man, I wish I had the UP accent. I kid you not. I would love that
Really?
accent.
All right.
It is just one of my favorite to listen to. Like it's not grating. It's just funny to listen to. And maybe I shouldn't want it, but I would at least be able to have a passable one. Like it's just great. Like listening to him. Oh yeah, hey bud.
I mean, it feels very Canadian, you know.
Well, it's the UP. It's the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah,
that's the whole deal.
I hear a friend Ross. Shout out to Ross. Talk this way a lot. You know, I mean, it's usually just in joking because he doesn't normally speak that way all the time. But yeah, it's just interesting.
Well, he's up in Toronto. He's not really in the UP.
No,
you know.
No, but he likes to joke about talking like this a lot.
North Dakota is considered the UP?
It's Minnesota is usually considered the Upper Peninsula. So let's see. Let me show you. So Michigan, generally it's a little bit of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Chicago, and so you could kind of say it's a bit of the UP. But you know how regions are. It's not going to stop on the border.
No, for sure. And by the way, if you guys didn't notice out there, we're talking about Fargo today and stuff like that. That's why we're talking about accents here, which we're talking about movies that reminded us of other people this month, which is what
I can't wait to find out who this
was mine. This is my pick for the week of what I thought of somebody that would fit this movie. So anyways, that's where we got this one. That's the topic. And this movie we watched was starring Frances McDermott, William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi, Harv Presnell, and Peter Stormare, which is really weird to see him not being a Russian in this one. And it's about a pregnant Minnesota police chief investigating a roadside homicides that took place after a desperate car salesman, William H. Macy, hires two criminals, Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare, to kidnap his wife in order to extort a hefty ransom from her wealthy father. So that's the movie we're talking about today, and all accents, like John was talking about. And I tried to do in the fake sponsor spot.
And this a lot of this takes place in the Twin Cities, which is Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah.
So that is straight in the UP. I have a good friend who lives up in Duluth, which is about 3 hours north of Minneapolis, right on Lake Superior there. So I have heard stories of the winters there. I've heard stories of, just how rural it can be. And it's interesting. Like he lives in a very rural area, very, if we're talking politics for half a second, very conservative area. And he's very opposite of everything that he lives in. He doesn't have the accent, even though he grew up there. and he's like, I worked hard not to have the accent. Like, he's a super interesting guy. So
I've got a friend from West Virginia that you'd never know he's from West Virginia. If you listen to him, you hear the rest of his family, and the rest of his family is very West Virginian accent. What you would imagine of kind of a Southern accent from there. He talks just like me. I always wondered how he did it. He's like, I don't know. It's just the way it was. Everybody else in my family talks this way. I talk like you out there from the West. It was kind of interesting.
All the movies you watched, probably.
It probably is.
I love the environment of this film. I love the North Dakota. I love the snow. I love the bleak landscapes with every once in a while you get a cityscape, that cozy feeling. Like, the whole movie had that cozy feeling. Like, they were never dressed down. Like, they were always generally in something warm, in long johns or something along those lines. It gave this feel of like a very cozy movie. It's a horrible movie with lots of death, but
yeah,
it gave like it just gave that
small town feeling.
Yeah, and that bleak feeling at sometimes.
But you're kind of out here on your own type scenario.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. They played that up, I mean, quite a bit, actually. I mean, but that's kind of the way it is. Some of those spots, I was like, hey, that looks like the bar downtown Idaho Falls, it's just kind of interesting just how homey it felt, like you said, with that. I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect with this movie when I picked it. I picked it not just.
Had you never seen it before?
No. Every movie I gave up last week was a movie I'd never seen before.
Oh.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, I did.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
No, that's totally cool. I picked movies I'd never seen before, but still, like, I'd heard of them and they influenced me about you guys. Or it was something that influenced me from you guys that I picked the movie from. And so, but I'd never seen any of them. So, yeah, kind of interesting on that. So I was I was shocked more than anybody on this movie of like what was going on, what was going to happen and all that. I honestly didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I hear people talk about it. I'm like, it's got to be something good about it if people are talking about it all over. And then they made a TV show after it, and it did really good at the box office. Well, it did good for its time, 95. It did on a $7 million budget, did 60 million. Mm-hmm. So, there's all these things that's pointing to like, hey, people like this enough to like go spend money on it and make a TV show on it. But what was it? What is it?
Well, the TV show didn't come around till like what, 2015, 2016?
Yeah, it hasn't been around too long.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, it has such a different, I feel like the TV show has such a different feel than the movie. And honestly, out of the two, like, given the choice of what to watch, I would pick this movie over the series any day. And
really,
maybe it's just because it wraps up really nicely or something like those lines. It doesn't suffer from America's serialization of stories into how many seasons can we get out of this.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I really, really like this film. I think it's one of those timeless films where it's going to age and has aged really, really well.
I didn't even realize it was 95 when I watched it. I mean, I literally only learned it was 1995 when I just started doing the write-up for this podcast.
96, but yeah, it's like it doesn't feel that old. The oldest thing in there are the cars and the fact that not everyone has a cell phone. Like that's kind of like how you date it. You look at the cars and you look at the fact that nobody is talking to each other on a cell phone.
Everybody had a corded phone, yeah.
So
one thing that really stood out to me about this, you kind of picked up the whole idea of, being kind of very bleak looking, which is a good thing. I really liked it too. I thought the actors did very well. That Frances McDermott, she surprised me on how can't place her in anything else. I've heard of her, but I don't know what other movies she's done, but I think she did an excellent job in this movie. I really liked her. And I liked how nice and perky she was all the time, and I like how they kind of made it that she's, she is a very competent woman in the police. I mean, she was very smart. They pointed that out very early in like, oh, I don't like your police in there. They're so and so.
I
Go ahead.
really liked her character development too, and not necessarily
Yeah.
her character development, just how they chose to display her character. So, for example, when she's in the hotel lobby with that very touchy feely gentleman, and he's like, "Oh, I'll come sit on this side with you." She's like, "No, I don't want you to sit here. I want you to sit on that side." Like very forceful, very like, "No, this is what's going to happen." And like in that instant, you're like, "Oh, this is '96. You know how things are going at that time." And you're like, "Wow." You can place her and you can instantly see like, okay, she got here on obviously merit. She knows what she's doing. She's a powerful, strong character, and we get that in 5 to 10 seconds of her telling this guy to basically, no, you will not do this to me, and you're gonna sit over there. Like, I really loved that one shot because it told me so much about her character in 10 seconds.
I really like the shot, like when you first see her. Like I really look back at this and it just made me kind of smile, like how she's just like walking around, just basically just spelling out the crime scene when they're first on the side of the
Yeah.
the road, and she's just very much, well, here it is, piecing it together, and she's very much in charge of what's going on, and she knows. She's calling it out where nobody else had seen things. And I thought that was a very good depiction of her just showing like how good of a police officer is. And yet she's so low key, which is hard to do anyway when you're acting to show that you're competent.
I love much like your policing there, Lou.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, and Lou's like, what? It's like they're dealer plates, DLR.
DL.
It's like, oh, it was great. Like she just had all of it figured out, and at the same time, like, yeah, it was exactly fantastic. And then when Lundegaard flees the scene, she's like, he's fleeing the interview. He's fleeing the interview. And then she like gets a hold of herself and starts making a call. Like she's super excited. Like, oh, he's fleeing the interview. Like we have our guy. It was fantastic. Really liked how that well, but she definitely felt like she pulled the film together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like fantastic actors in this movie, and yet she is right up there with all of them. And I don't even know her very well from anything else, but she was right up there with everybody else that I know that are good actors in this movie. I mean, heck, William H. Macy, I love him. Matter of fact, one of my favorite movies is probably not one of his that's not one that people talk about much, but there's a movie called The Cooler that he did that I really thought that he acted well in. Because and then just all the other projects he's done. He's such a good actor and stuff, and this just showed how strong he can be.
Well, I want you to know that he is the narrator for the Curious George TV series. I mean, that right there is just fantastic.
No, is he really?
Yeah, he is.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I was watching it the other day, and I'm like, I recognize that voice. Who is that? But yeah, he narrates Curious George.
Did you guys know that Frances McDormand is married to Jill Cohen?
No.
Yeah. I just wanted to see what other movies she'd been in. And I just saw that information. I was like, whoa, okay. Since 1984. So interesting.
Speaking of Cohen, like, what did you think of some of the, I know their source material is different, obviously, but some of the similarities between this film and No Country for Old Men, where you have these two independent stories going on. You have a law enforcement individual that you have this tension they're playing back and forth. Like in some ways, I feel like that Fargo was almost a dry run for their interpretation of No Country for Old Men. I think they.
Are you asking me because you know that I don't like Old Country for Old Men that much?
No, I'm just putting it out there. I mean, I figured
Okay.
you'd have something to say, and then if not, Crit would definitely have something to say.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I like this movie way more than No Country for Old Men.
Well, because they have the UP accent. I mean,
Well, that makes
would
that.
No Country for Old Men be better if they all spoke like they were from Minneapolis?
I think I like this movie a little bit more in the sense because you point out the two stories. I felt like No Country for Old Men. I didn't get it. I mean, and I always hate saying that, but I didn't quite understand how all of the stories kind of coalesce together. And I think that's where I kind of got lost with that movie because it's definitely not one I understand very well. And I know I've at least talked to Crit about it a little bit in the past. This one I followed it quite well, and that's probably why I liked it a lot more. Whereas I struggled with that, and probably need to see No Country for Old Men again. Maybe I'll like it a little bit more, but I've only seen it once.
I'm sure we'll get it on here one of these days. Maybe. Well, we need to do like a Cohen month and do like Raising Arizona and all those.
You know, the Coen brothers always been a little bit hit and miss for me, but this one I definitely did enjoy the movie.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you, Chris. There or Crit.
Yeah, Chris, go.
Yeah, all right. I think the characters in this movie are easier to like than the characters in No Country for Old Men. Like just from Marge herself just being the way she is, but the accent helps a lot because the characterization is in that area is overly nice. You know, it's kind of similar to the kind of bless you culture from the South, where they're really kind of telling you to F off, but they're saying it in a polite Southern way. It's kind of similar to that, but just shifted to a different region and the way they talk about it and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I could see why it's definitely easier to follow Fargo than it is No Country. I think No Country is better, but that's because I think the rest of the movie making is better. So John's take on a dry run for No Country, yeah, I kind of see that. I can kind of see that.
I also can see it too.
I mean, especially since they wrote and directed this, so I mean, they had full control, and they had full control of No Country. So, obviously, they're restricted by source material. But,
yeah, I was fixing to say,
you are restricted by source material, but at the same time, like how they set up the shots and how they decided to place things together, I don't know. I really do feel like a dry run is a good way of putting it.
Well,
but a fantastic dry run.
Did Roger Deakins actually work on No Country? Because he worked on Fargo. That's your director of photography. That's your shot composition.
No, I'm not going to say there's things in this movie here too that didn't remind me of No Country, because there's a couple of spots I'm just like, why was that in the movie? I don't get it. I don't understand some of the things. Maybe one or two things that was in it.
In Fargo that you didn't understand?
Yeah. Well, okay. John brought out one of the scenes. He's talking about. I think were you talking about the one in the bar where she was when she was meeting with that old friend? That kind of was
the hotel lobby thing.
Yeah, it kind of felt a little out of place to me. Like, why? What's the point of this whole interaction of her getting that midnight call about this guy and then her meeting the guy in the bar? It just felt like it was kind of throwaway.
Well, I think I slightly disagree with John's take on it, in that he was like, I could see why you could think that it's showing that she's, kind of a strong woman and establishing her boundaries and stuff like that. But I think they did that fine on the first walkthrough of the murder scenes.
I agree with you.
Because she's so competent there. So I was like, the same way.
Yeah, I thought necessarily need the...
Yeah, I thought that setup was a little redundant, and I wasn't exactly sure. Like, I didn't get anything out of it personally. Like, I was like, okay, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he pertains to the story, and I don't know what it sets up for her. Other than she finds out later that he lies to him, and she has a reaction to that. But it doesn't change anything about her.
No,
through the story, or isn't obvious to me why that scene is in there.
I
agree, and that's why I'm bringing it up. It just felt so out of place with no payoff.
Yeah.
So the only other thing I see with that scene is, to me, it illustrates maybe a blind spot with the kind of kindness sob story where she doesn't put her policing skills to task and realize, okay, there's holes in this story, something's not right, something's not going on. And she plays that again the first time she runs into Lundergaard. And so maybe to me it's almost highlighting another, okay, here's the hole in the story. This is her blind spot that we're highlighting as well.
That she's too trusting and too nice or something.
Well, when they're too trusting and too nice, when it's not an obvious, like, this is a bad guy or something's obviously off, like it's easy to be super trusting and understanding. She had no issues like going after Shep. So I don't know. I can see the scene being thrown away, and I don't think the movie would suffer if it was taken out. Like it's not something that's going to be leaving the movie hurting if it was gone. And Roger Deakins did work on No Country for Old Men as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I think
that's why they look
Team
the
Reds
same.
again.
Yeah, I think that's why they look the same. It's probably because of Deakins.
Some of the same kind of car shots,
Mm-hmm.
the composition of where the car's placed and how they're viewing the highway and stuff like that. Feels very No Country for Old Men like. Or just what at this point do we call it Roger Deakins like?
Yeah, I think you call it Deakins like. Yeah.
It's perfect for the atmosphere. I love the atmosphere in this film. I love it. I would if my wife would murder me if we moved up that far north where it was that cold and frozen. She would just we would have another Fargo, except for be more successful, I'm sure, if she was in charge of it.
She's all like, "Hey, can we buy a wood chipper?" And you're like, "No."
No wood chipper, no axe. Oh man. Yeah, so those are okay, that's one of my favorite scenes is when he's doing the wood chipper. And she's like, "What?" When Marge is like just kind of like floored. And then my second favorite scene is, or my first favorite scene is probably her talking in the bar to those two ditzy girls, where they're like, "Oh, I went to college and then I dropped out." Oh yeah, she dropped out.
Yeah, they were great. I think one of them was actually a voice coach for the crew.
Oh really?
Yeah, so she's like, according to the some of the facts on it, it's like she played one of the two. And she was one that helped she was one of the two linguistic coaches that helped the actors with the accent, which they didn't call Opie, they called them blah 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 blah. Now I can't remember what it
Youper?
is. No, I think they call it like Minnesota Nice or something like that.
Minnesota Nice, huh?
Yeah, the Minnesota. Yeah, so Minnesota Nice accent is what they called it. It's actually got its own like entry in Wikipedia, so that's a thing.
Yeah, I just looked it up too. Yeah, no, I love it. And then I love Marge, how she's like just nodding and like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Like she's just like, this is going nowhere. It's like, oh, what kind of different? Oh, you just look different.
He's funny looking,
He's funny looking.
That was funny, a funny running joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That nobody can describe anybody.
It's funny. Yeah. Which you can't go wrong with what they say about Buscemi though.
Yeah, you try to describe Buscemi to someone who's never seen him.
Pass.
Man, I love Buscemi though. He's such a fantastic actor, and from everything I've seen, like, and maybe it's just his publicist is super good at their job, but just a nice guy and like guy who's worked. I mean, the whole, being there. Doing the firefighting work and stuff like that. Like, just, I really like his whole story. And again, it might be his publicist is just fantastic. But either way, like, it's just, it's just
everything we can see. He not only is he seen like such a nice guy, but he's such a versatile actor too. I mean, he can play hardcore hitman to, he's hilarious comedically, in the Adam Sandler movies. He just has such a range and is so good at what he does, in everything that he does, I should say. And so in this, he knocked it out of the park, even in this one, and stuff. But he was incredible.
Then he's tried his hand at some directing work as well. one of some of my favorite episodes of 30 Rock were actually directed by Steve Buscemi. So just really cool stuff. And then he's guest starred in he's done voice acting, and he's done voice acting in Rick and Morty, for heaven's sake. So he's all over the place. Like you said, very versatile.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, I mean, all the actors in this, we can't go wrong. And even Peter Storm, like I was joking earlier, it's weird not seeing him with a Russian accent, because it seems like that's all he does is Russian accents pretty much. I actually saw a talk show about him that they're like, the talk show host was like, I didn't even know that you were, basically you're an American, because every movie I see you in, it's always some other kind of accent. But again, that's kind of what he's known for a little bit. In the Hollywood, a lot of people, if they need an accent, they go to Peter Storm.
I just know he's an excellent Satan in Constantine.
And I say that he does a good American accent, but did not know he's Swedish. He does, because he doesn't talk with when you hear him actually talk, you can't hear much of an accent. But I mean, he's been in Armageddon. Oh, that's the one I was thinking of. That's the one where I've seen him the most. Armageddon. That's my biggest thought of him in that movie.
The rock jockey.
Yeah. And he's in John Wick 2. Oh, yeah. That's the other one. Constantine. He's in that one as well. I forgot.
Is he in Constantine?
I'm looking at his
Satan
movie.
in Constantine.
Yeah, he is.
Which he's the best Satan.
For a second, I thought we were still talking about friggin' Buscemi. So I'm like, what?
Oh, no. Everybody got quiet about Buscemi, so I moved on to Peter Stormare.
Yeah, sorry. I missed
okay.
that transition. I was still like in my head thinking of Buscemi. So I'm like,
which Armageddon did have Buscemi in it.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up. I was like, yeah, the rock jockey and the whole thing. So that my conversation was like still on track.
No, you were on track. Yeah, you're doing good, man. You were on track and didn't even know it, kind of, that you. Oh, that's funny. Oh,
that's got to stay in there.
Oh, it will.
That can't be edited out.
Oh, it's funny that me and Crit were talking the other day. I edit very little. I say I'm going to edit stuff out, and most of the time I don't. Unless it's really bad. Unless it's just really bad cuts or something like that. Someone had to use the bathroom or something like that. Or coughing or whatever. But for the most part, I leave it in there. Because these are the parts of the podcast I actually enjoy when I'm listening back to kind of the screw ups and the funny stuff we say, the off message stuff. So, anyways, boy, he's been in. Yeah, Minority Report. Stormare was in too. He was the guy that took Tom Cruise's eyeballs out and left him with a rotten sandwich.
That was him.
Which also had a Russian accent, I think. Oh. What else did you guys like about this movie? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Okay.
Crickets.
Oh, no. Okay. So the next thing is, you guys want me to reveal why I picked this.
Yes.
And who it was supposed to be picked about. So here's the answer. I picked it for both of you, actually. And I knew that's probably not the answer you were looking for. Huh?
I want to be Buscemi's character then.
Well, then I'm Marge.
You're Marge.
No nonsense detective.
Not
even detective sheriff. Sorry.
And you remember, I was picking more on the idea of movies that influenced me. Like when I think of them, I think of you guys. Of that, this might be the style that you guys like.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I took from that point of view. Not keying into you wanted individual characters, and I picked this one because you guys talk about the Coen brothers so much. You guys like the Coen brothers. You like their movies. This is a dark comedy, which I had noticed that you guys really like this kind of stuff. So when I see movies like this, I think of you guys. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. But I know that on some level that you guys will probably like them. So, anyways, that's why I picked this movie. I didn't know the movie, but I knew it was by the Coen brothers. And most of the movies that you guys do like, a lot of the movies you guys like are by them. And I knew it was a dark comedy. And I already hear you guys talking about this movie all the time. You guys have brought it up multiple times over the last little while. So, anyways, that's why I picked this movie. And I pick it for, both of you guys. Not because I think you guys are murderous bastages or anything like that, but just for the movie in general.
All right. Yeah,
I might think of you guys as murderous bastages.
As an association, I totally see it.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so that's my call on it. Okay. So, and I'll be honest, I enjoyed this movie. You guys want to go to ratings?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10 OG's moments. And I don't know if I would buy it, but I would definitely rent it again.
Yeah.
Or watch it on Netflix. How about that? But
Okay.
I genuinely did enjoy this movie. Way more than No Country for Old Men. I would watch this again with by myself, whereas No Country for Old Men, I'd probably need to watch it with you guys to probably enjoy it. So
I can see that. So I wouldn't watch this with my mom because it swears so much, and my mom's not a big fan of swearing. So probably wouldn't watch this with my mom unless it was like the Angel Flicks version. So like the 5-minute trailer is about all we could get out of it.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Same here, man.
Okay, I give this 11 out of 13 people searching for ice scrapers along the road.
Oh, that was one thing I was like, okay, I did think of something I was going to point out. Now we're totally done.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those movies that like it doesn't really have it doesn't have like a solve all ending. Like nothing like totally 100% gets cleared up. It's just kind of there. And that was one of them. It's like, whoa, there's like $1 million out there in the tundra and being pointed out by an ice scraper. I mean,
Which blew away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and who knows if it was really? Do we really know it was an ice scraper? Like we don't really know, do we?
Well, I'm absolutely sure. Like this movie came out and people started driving the road. They thought, see if they could find it.
I'd be the guy like screwing with everyone,
which would be 15, almost 20 years after the actual incident that this is based on. So like that doesn't make any sense at all. But people be people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know this is based on a true story and stuff like that, but do you really think, was that part of the movie, or do you think that really happened? Like they really did stuff that money someone did out there in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, I'm sure they stuffed the money.
You don't think that was just a kind of a thing in the movie to kind of move things along or throw a wrench in it?
I mean, it's good characterization for Buscemi's character because that's exactly how that character would act. He would take the $80,000 that his partner knew about out of it and then hide the rest of it for himself. That's what he would do. That's consistency in character.
Yeah.
And he'd still take the car too.
Yeah.
That was the whole argument on the car. He's like, dude, just take your truck. You've got $1 million.
Yeah. Just walk away.
Don't piss off the Russian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he didn't play that too well.
Yeah.
And then it was wood chipper time. I at least know now what people mean about the wood chipper in Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing.
It reminds me of the wood chipper scene in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
I had a feeling you're going to bring that up.
With just the blood spray.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a great movie.
All right. Are you ready for
Johnny Boy? It is all you, dude.
Okay.
You got the movies for next time. Lay it on us.
All right. So the first one is it's the live action Emperor's New Groove.
Okay.
And second one, did this always swear this much?
Okay.
The third one is maybe we could provision a temporary government? So live action Emperor's New Groove. Did this always swear this much? And maybe we could provision a temporary government?
Any thoughts? I'm kind of leaning to 2. Anything you're leaning to?
Not really. I can go with your pick.
Okay. You're good with that one?
Yes, I'm good with that one.
All right.
So,
buddy.
did
Let's
this
do it then.
always swear this much? Is what you're choosing?
Let's do that one.
Okay, so the first one, it's a live-action Emperor's New Groove, is Tommy Boy with Chris Farley and my favorite.
I love Tommy Boy.
Yep.
I'm glad we skipped that one. All right, cool.
Is there
Yeah,
a
not a
niner
fan.
in there?
Not a fan.
Okay, so maybe we could provision a temporary government is, Josh, you're going to be happy, but it's No Country for Old Men.
No flipping way.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, my
Okay, so
goodness.
the Tommy Boy definitely reminded me of Josh. I mean,
Okay.
Chris Farley's character is, to me, just the embodiment of most of Josh. Like, he's obviously not as dumb as Chris Farley's character is in
Not
Tommy
as
Boy.
dumb. Oh, come on.
Sorry, you're not. What am
You're
I
not
supposed to
dumb
say?
like
You're smarter.
the character.
Yeah, you're not
What
dumb
are
like
you
Tommy.
talking about?
Your
I
knowledge of
understand.
plumbing and brakes is
I get
perfect.
it.
No, so that's kind of where I picked there. No Country for Old Men.
Appreciate that.
I picked it because the sheriff has always reminded me of Crit.
Oh, really?
Mainly for one quote, and it's the quote near the end where he's in the diner.
Okay.
Or is it in the diner? Or he's describing his dream, like that.
At his friend's
that
house.
in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, at his friend's house. That one scene, like I'm like, I could see
Cool scene.
Crit saying this whole scene, like just one day at Thursday night at movie night, just laying it on us, and I was sitting there like, okay, is Crit okay?
I'm kind of flattered, but also a little concerned. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and your pick, did this always swear this much, is the first Back to the Future.
Really?
Yeah, Back to the Future swears a
Back
lot.
to the Future.
I started watching it with my little boy. I'm like, nope, we're not going to watch this one right now because I don't want you repeating these words yet. You'll get them from school eventually. I mean, he's in
Right.
kindergarten, so give him a year and he'll know all of them. But Back to the Future is what we'll be watching.
All right.
I didn't know it.
haven't
Really,
seen
I
that
didn't
in
realize it
forever.
sweared so much either.
Yep.
I guess it depends on what you mean by swear words. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like dropping the F-bomb every second.
Right.
But,
Yeah, that'd be a very
explicit.
different memory.
Yeah. But, I think bastards dropped a few times and,
Bastard's a swear word? Oh, that's interesting.
right. Yeah. Shit, stuff like that. I mean,
All right.
it's not like
words that you don't want little ears to hear. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't know if
exactly.
we were working off of 1970s list of swear words or 1950s list
yeah.
of swear words.
This is like,
Sounds like
this is
1950s list.
airplane.
Yeah.
I debated throwing airplane in here. I just couldn't. I didn't really. Nobody in there really reminds me of any of you guys. So I couldn't in good conscience put it in there. The sniffing glue guys. I picked a bad day to sniff glue or stop sniffing glue. I guess we could attribute to someone. But,
Yeah.
or the autopilot. I'll just
geez.
I'll play it safe and say the autopilot is Josh. There we go.
Cool. I like to blow things. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No.
Or I like to be blown?
Okay. We better cut that out.
Off the rails.
My mother listens to this podcast. I'm going to get a text message in the morning.
What? He's inflatable. I mean,
So I watched. So for those of you that are tuning in, I participate in a religion, and I'm very religious, and I have certain moral standards and stuff like that. And I watched Airplane for the first time on a Sunday, thinking it's a PG rated film.
boo.
And it's going to be great, and I'll watch it on the Sabbath day, and everything's going to be fine. It was not a PG film.
No,
It was
it's
a
right up there with
1970s
16 Candles if you want to call it PG.
Yeah,
That's old school
that's
PG.
my experience with Airplane.
Before
Yeah,
they invented PG-13.
yep,
Right.
yep. Okay, so yeah, Back
right.
to the Future.
Back to the Future it is. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. So this will be a fun watch. I'd be fun to watch and talk about. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I watch it quite often. So this won't be a hard watch at all. Well, thank you, John and Crit, for being on the podcast, and to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. We really do enjoy doing this podcast for you guys. And if you liked what you hear, smash that like button and click subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. And to everybody out there, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper from all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.